They're already putting their statements out about will they or won't they certify the election? What will Congress do? And we're talking about congressional Democrats in leadership roles. And we've got Rick Grinnell joining us now. He's a team member here at the ACLJ, and he's also out on the campaign trail for the Trump campaign. And Rick, I want to go to you first on this because these are not no names in Congress. These are ranking and subcommittee members and ranking members of committees, named House Democrats that they put forward on the Sunday shows. One who led an impeachment against President Trump, Jamie Raskin, who in 2017 wanted to vote against certifying the election, couldn't find a fellow Senate Democrat to do that, and now is saying about this election before any votes have been counted. Some people are already voting early in states. He said that, quote, he definitely can't assume that Trump would use free, fair, and honest means to secure a victory. He'll do whatever he can to interfere with the process, whether we're talking about manipulating electoral college counts or manipulating the vote count in Georgia or imposing other kinds of impediments. Rick, I'd like to make one point very clear to people. Jamie Raskin may be having a flashback issue, but Donald Trump is not the president right now. He does not have the powers of the government. So all that he can do is through the courts is to battle what he believes are, and his campaign believes, and the RNC believes are illegal moves by states that are not securing the vote, and they take those to court. You win some, you lose some, and Jamie Raskin is calling that, again, interfering and imposing impediments to the vote counts.
Yeah, this is laughable. What Jamie Raskin and the Democrats are doing is exactly what they accused Republicans of doing, and yet here we go again. They're pointing the finger at us, but look what they're doing. They're undermining the democracy already. They're laying the groundwork that if Trump wins, there's going to be a case by Democrats to say he cheated, and therefore the election should not be certified. I thought we just went through 4 years of the media constantly asking every Republican, did this past 2020 election, come off without a hitch? And the reality is that we say we got to look and see how the election plays out. But the people in charge right now are the Democrats. Remember that. The Democrats control the White House. They control the majority of county officials in the swing states where this vote is going to be watched very closely. We've already seen in Philadelphia. I'm in Allentown, Pennsylvania now, but I've seen in Philadelphia, the officials there have said they're not going to be able to count all of the votes on election night. So the manipulation is a very real concern, and we have to stay focused on it. We have to be able to secure the elections, and we should be able to agree that having signature verification, having ID is just minimum standards. Except remember, the Democrats do not want voter ID. They do not want voter signature verifications in serious forms because they spin it and they say it disenfranchises people, which is ridiculous. But that's their game.
Rick, we also, I think, have to remind people that just a handful of months ago, we had Democrat secretaries of state in Colorado and a liberal court there, and courts across the country then, and other secretaries of states, like in I think it was in Maine and some others, try and remove President Trump from the primary ballot unilaterally without a vote. They just wanted to take him off the ballot because they determined that he didn't qualify to be on the Republican ballot, and then wouldn't, of course, qualify to be on the general election ballot because he wouldn't have been able to get votes. Now, we won that at the U.S. Supreme Court. But talking about interfering with elections at the last minute, that's exactly what the Democrats have been doing this entire race. I mean, they changed the candidate because he didn't do well in a debate to their vice presidential candidate right after President Trump took part in an early debate that Joe Biden asked for.
Yeah, look, the hypocrisy is really unbelievable. Remember, they spent more than a year talking about how the democracy was on the ballot. Right? That's all they kept saying is democracy is on the ballot. Well, they had to drop that phrase because they pushed Joe Biden out and they implemented put in a candidate, Kamala Harris, that didn't really deal with democracy, didn't have a democratic process. She was handed the nomination. And so they had to drop that whole message point. We've also seen, Jordan, you know this intimately, that the Democrats have worked really hard in the legal system to keep Jill Stein, a Green Party candidate, off the ballot, while working hard to keep Robert Kennedy on the ballot, even though he dropped out. I mean, this is a total hypocrisy when they talk about democracy. They're trying to manipulate the process so that they can win.
Rick, one of the other members of Congress that Axios mentions is the House Rules Committee ranking member, Jim McGovern from Massachusetts. And the quote that they have from him about Democrats certifying the election, it says, assuming everything goes the way we expect it to. We have to see how it all happens. My expectation is that we would. I mean, you can't give them a benefit of the doubt, but even if you do, you'd think they'd choose their words more carefully than this. But assumes everything goes the way you expect it to sounds pretty ominous.
Yeah, it sounds like they've got a plan to manipulate the vote, to not count all the votes on election night, figure out how much they need. Look, this is very scary because we've seen this playbook before. And again, we need transparency and we need common sense. Common sense means voter ID, voter signature verification, means counting all the votes in one night in a transparent way where there's a Republican and a Democrat watching it. You don't close the curtains and shut the door and kick out everybody to count the ballots. You don't bring in suitcases at the last minute. And so we have to have lawyers. I think the Republican Party has done a better job than 2020. We have really good lawyers watching this process. We still have to be vigilant. I'm still not confident that they're not going to find ways to manipulate the process. But this from Jamie Raskin is really a sign that we have got to get every single person in local communities watching the ballot. Go show up at the polls and watch this process. It's sad that in the United States of America, we're worried about free and fair elections, but we have to be.
Yeah, and to that point, Rick, it's like if we win, they're setting the standard that if Republicans win, they must have broken the law, they must have cheated, they must have done something to violate someone's civil rights. There's no way they could beat us in a free and fair election. I mean, that's really the kind of tone that they're setting, which is also one that can be very dangerous in the country when you start putting out there that the only way these guys can win is if they do something illegal. I mean, that's basically what they're saying.
Right, and they've made IDs illegal. So the only way that these guys can win is if we have an election where we know that it's safe and secure, and if they attack the way that we've set up these elections, then they've manipulated the process. Look, common sense has to reign the day. The Democratic Party is completely devoid of common sense. We have a Supreme Court justice, a woman on the Supreme Court, the highest court in the land, who doesn't know what a woman is, who couldn't feel comfortable to answer the question because the Democratic Party is so far left woke. When they lose, they want to add Supreme Court members so that they manipulate the court. When they lose, they want to add new states so that they have more senators. They are manipulating the process. When they don't like their candidate at the last minute, they push the candidate out. They don't have a Democratic primary. They install who they want, and then they have people like Jamie Raskin who go and wag their fingers to say, don't challenge our process, otherwise you are the bad guy. This is devoid of common sense. No one should feel bad about pushing back against this. A closed border and not having two wars is common sense. Gas prices where we are able to drill in our own country rather than buy dirty Venezuelan oil is common sense. They are not for common sense.
You know, Rick, I appreciate everything you're doing right now for the country, and I also appreciate you taking that time, as you do a couple times a week at least, to join us here, to update our team, to work with us behind the scenes. so that we can be doing everything we can at the ACLJ so that the folks out there know what they should be doing as well, the grassroots level. And folks, you can support the work of the ACLJ. It's very easy to do so. You make it all possible. You take action with us to defend the integrity of this election at aclj.org/vote. That's aclj.org/vote. And as we work to defend your right to vote, we need your support. We're ramping up our election integrity efforts right now. So go to aclj.org/vote, get educated, and join the fight. Either donate to the ACLJ. You can make a one-time donation at aclj.org. Or become an ACLJ champion. Choose an amount you're comfortable with donating automatically each month and donate at aclj.org/champions.